Greetings all, and welcome to Dave's Craft Room. And on today's video, I'm making a scrap quilt. That's it. It's just a scrap quilt. Oh. I've been working on my 100 days, 100 quilt blocks, maple and eucalyptus quilt, and that is all consuming. I just want a quick project. My Mount Scrapmore is growing as usual, and if we don't stay on top of it, she's gonna overflow. I have her over here on the floor because I take from that to use for the 100 days blocks. So I'm going to let the quilting goddesses decide what I sew. Without looking, I'm going to reach and pull out the tiniest piece ever. Without looking, I'm gonna reach and grab the fabric, and whatever I grab, that's what I have to sew with. I don't necessarily have to use all of it, like I can cut it, but that's essentially the idea of this quilt. I can't look, I just have to grab and I have to use the pieces that I pull. I have today off, we'll see how far I get today. On a scrap quilt like this, I wanna try some kind of experiment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use leftover t-shirt jersey from t-shirt quilts, usually the back of the t-shirts, piece them together and make a backing out of t-shirt jersey. I'm very curious how t-shirt jersey will serve as a backing. So this is a perfect chance, because it's only a scrap quilt out of random fabric. I'll see how that goes. I'm not gonna interface it because there's just gonna be like a huge sheet of interfacing at that point. And it's not like a gift or nothing, so there's no need. I'm just gonna deal. I guess that's all there is to it. It's a simple project, isn't it? We'll see if the quilting goddesses are shining on me today and we get something beautiful. It's all gonna be straight lines, 90-degree angles. That's the vibe I've been feeling lately. We're not doing all of that. I've made a crazy quilt like that before, not on the channel. I made it before I started my channel. It's on the trunk show video. And I've made blocks like that before, which are in the vintage inspired one, inspired by one of Chris O'Neill's quilts on Lessons from an Old Quilt from Sew the Distance. This is just gonna be straight lines, because it's so satisfying to take these wonky pieces of fabric and sew them into straight lines. And it's still crazy quilt, so let's go, let's do it. I save pretty much every scrap of fabric. I never throw out, unless it's really teeny tiny. I very rarely throw it out. I'm not a hoarder in life. I'm a tosser. I like to throw things away, except for fabric, because I never know when inspiration is gonna strike. So I need to have the fabric to achieve my dreams at hand. I do not sort my scraps into colors because that kind of presumes that I know what color I'm ever looking for. I like digging through and finding what I'm gonna find. I don't sort them by color. I don't sort them by size at all. I just put them all in a huge pile. Iron it with this, I didn't even use this pink. I will use it. Iron it with the seams open. That's gonna help me avoid bulk. I go both ways on that. Sometimes I iron them open, sometimes I iron them to the side. On improv like this, I like to do open because I can't guarantee any kind of nesting situation will ever happen and I don't need to worry about it. My mat is the other side up. I definitely cut into it on the other side so much that the lines are now gone. You're supposed to use the lines on your ruler instead of the lines on your mat. I try to do that. I usually forget, and then sometimes you can't. You have to use the lines on the mat. It's whatever. I did start to see a dent in Mount Scrapmore, although since making this quilt, it's already grown back to larger than what it was before I started, so it just is what it is. These past few weeks, I've been working tirelessly on my Maple and Eucalyptus 100 Days, 100 Quilt Blocks Quilt-Along, which involves making 100 quilt blocks that you post on Instagram, one every day for 100 days.
And for my quilt, I'm telling a story through my quilt blocks. I created a character who is an alien from outer space that took over the body of a cat who rules the world. And each day when I post the quilt block, it represents the next chapter of the character's life, or actually 9 lives because it's a cat. And then the details of his life play out in the Instagram caption that I write. So first of all, please check that out if you're interested. The link to my Instagram is below. And secondly, I'm having the best time of my life making the blocks and writing the story. I'm cracking myself up, which is probably the whole point. But at the same time, I'm like really pushing myself creatively to come up with new stories and new ideas for every single day. And that's kind of why I wanted a project like this one, where I didn't have to make any creative decisions. I just got to work sewing pieces together.
All right, so these are my scrap chunks. I think I have enough. I know I have enough blocks because it feels right. So the next thing I want to do is I've pulled my drawer of patches, and we're gonna embellish some of the blocks with patches. These are pretty random, like I've just collected these along the way. I mean, this is a jellyfish, this is a dinosaur, this is a teddy bear. So a lot of these that I have no purpose for them, I'm gonna use them now. Eyeballs. Many of them are probably iron-on, but we already know that we can't trust the iron-on feature, so we still need to sew it on. Some of these are so random. Richmond, Virginia Fire Bureau. Why do I even have it? I don't know. I actually don't know why I have many of these. Oh, a banana. Okay, that'll be good. That's enough. All right, let's get these on. Oh, this is perfect. Banana in outer space.
There are two comments that I get pretty often, so I'd like to address them now. One comment I get often is whether I put batting in a project. And I get asked this presumably because I do not always show putting the sandwich together on camera. I can tell you there is always batting in a quilt. A quilt has 3 layers, the top, the batting, and the backing. I don't always show putting the sandwich together on camera just because it's kind of awkward to film. It's a lot of hokey pokey stuff going on. I'm at the end of the project at that point and I just want to focus on getting that step done. And then I think putting the sandwich together is going to be like similar to what you've seen in other videos. So that's why I sometimes don't film it. But there is always batting. I'm partial to 80-20, but I'll use all different kinds. The only time I didn't use batting was in the quilt made of, well, I guess it's not technically a quilt, but the blanket made out of wolf sweatshirts. And because it was 2 layers of sweatshirt jersey that was already thick, I didn't put any batting. But every other project on my channel has batting in it, including the current project. And wouldn't you know, there's no footage of it, but I did use cotton batting in this.
Not a rectangle at all. We'll make it work. $60 by $72. I guess that's alright. I would prefer a little longer, but I don't feel like piecing anymore, so it's gonna be 62 by 72. T-shirt jersey backing.
Okay, so here we go making this t-shirt jersey backing with no interfacing. I wanted to do this as an experiment to see how t-shirt jersey would serve as a backing. It's very soft and comfortable, that's why we wear it. So I thought it would make a good backing, and it does. It works fine. When you see it in the end, you'll see that the lines are not straight because it's stretchy. It's hard to get it to stay square, but that does not bother me because it's just a backing. I did not need the lines to be straight. If I wanted the lines to be straight, the only way to make them perfect would be to use an iron-on interfacing or else to starch the jersey. I didn't do any of that. I just took it and sewed it up. I will also say that it does not yield a very warm quilt. The second question I get often is, On videos where I hand quilted the project, people are asking me, why did you hand quilt it? And some comments have even said, like, was your sewing machine broken? Would it not fit in the throat of your sewing machine? Like, why did you hand quilt it? The reason I hand quilt projects when I do is because I like doing it. I think that's the only reason to hand quilt. Machine quilting is definitely faster, and I do that as well, but I like hand quilting. I sometimes use traditional quilting thread and try to do like small stitches. I sometimes use embroidery floss and do big stitches. I'm not really doing anything terribly intricate. I usually do like parallel lines or diamonds. Well, diamonds are made of parallel lines, but diamonds, or else I follow the ditch. I do have a hoop and a frame, but I prefer to do it on the floor or else on my lap. It's simple, it works. I've been doing it like that for years, and that's just how I like to do it. I don't necessarily know why I choose one style over another. I pretty much just do whatever I want, considering like how fast I have to finish the quilt and what I want it to look like and all that. That being said, this crazy scrap quilt here with the jersey backing would probably be a good candidate for machine quilting, yet here I go hand quilting it for no reason. So I have no real explanation for my actions. I just like to hand quilt sometimes. Alright, so here you can see the final result. I like how it turned out, and here is the t-shirt jersey backing. I like the backing even if it's wibbly wobbly, but it does lay flat. So that's all for today's video. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and please come again.